Right on, y'all. Well, we are
Hi.
here for the very first edition of
True
True
Mission.
Missions Sunday Bible study slash Christian convo slash just kind of,
Devotional.
devotional, diving into the Word, getting a little bit of Jesus in us right now. So, um, I mean, it's all about the idea of suffering and how to deal with that and um, what that looks like and um, going to kind of talk about some relatable and specific terms and probably even break down some preconceived notions of um, things that I didn't know until I started diving into this. But I know it's gonna be awesome. So
Yeah, it's a way to get closer to the Lord when you're going through those tribulations instead of falling from the Lord. So, the title for this devotional is Suffering for Me, and it reads, Be prepared to suffer for me in my name. All suffering has meaning in my kingdom. Pain and problems are opportunities to demonstrate your trust in me. Bearing your circumstances bravely, even thanking me for them, is one of the highest forms of praise. This sacrifice of thanksgiving rings golden-toned bells of joy throughout heavenly realms. On earth also, your patient suffering sends out ripples of good tidings in ever-winding circles. When suffering strikes, remember that I am sovereign and that I can bring good out of everything. Do not try to run from pain or hide from problems. Instead, accept adversity in my name, offering it up to me for my purposes. Thus, your suffering gains meaning and draws you closer to me. Joy emerges from the ashes of adversary through your trust and thankfulness.
Nice.
Yeah, when you look at it and it says bearing your circumstances bravely, even thanking me for them. That's something that a lot of people, like can't even wrap their heads around, like Ryan has a friend who was an EMT that we were telling you about, and he's like, well, if there's a God, like why are like babies dying and like why are people dying of cancer and this and that, and this says, and to thank me for them. And that in itself is just kind of like mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around it, like you said. It's I mean, in the end, it definitely tests your faith. And if you don't have faith, some people either find God through those situations, and some people take a turn for the worst. And in a lot of ways, that's examples to other people that don't have faith or God in their life. And you see that person take a turn for the worst, and it kind of opens up your eyes in that way too.
Or it brings you closer.
Yeah.
I love how it talks about joy emerges from the ashes of adversary through your trust and thankfulness. Like you said, it's like thanking him for those like tribulations that you're going through, because it's going to make you stronger in the end, and it's going to show like your true love for him. Instead of, like you said, falling from him, you're going to be growing closer to him if you like look at it from that different perspective than a lot of other mindsets would.
Yeah. Like I know not everybody watching this knows our story, because a lot of them are people that you're friends with, but Ryan and I have gone through a lot of loss the past 2.5 years or so. Ryan's dad was diagnosed with like stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and was fighting that for a little over a year. Passed away in July of 2018. And then my dad unexpectedly passed away like 19 days later. So we lost both of our dads. And, like losing a parent is really hard. And when your spouse loses a parent, you want to be there when your spouse is going through something difficult and be the one that they lean on and like their rock. And then when the same thing happens to you, like at the same time, it's just like
it was a lot at once, that's for sure. And it's funny. It's not funny, but I think God has interesting ways of working in your life. Like we had our first child in January 2018, and her being in our life like brought joy to your life no matter what, even in the hard times.
Yeah.
Like when we were going through all that stuff. And
Well, and our business was the busiest we had ever been. Like we went from, I think, 20 some weddings to that year we had 60.
yeah, plus all the
So-
corporate and commercial stuff that mixed in there too, which was really busy. So
It was just like one thing after another. It kept us busy, but the whole point is I don't know if it would have brought us that much closer if it didn't happen to both of us at the same time. Because we knew what the other was going through, like in that exact moment. Like we felt the same pain. So it wasn't just like, oh, I know what you're going through, that happened to me. Like, no, it's happening to me right now.
Yeah.
So it was just a different feeling. It was so relatable and like really brought us closer to each other and closer to God.
and obviously too, it opens your eyes that was like, you know, I've lost people in my life, like grandparents and things like that, but having your dad or like someone even closer to you, losing them definitely makes you realize that life's a lot shorter and precious than you think, and you're not indestructible, and you know there's going to be a day when you pass, and you start looking at your life and things you can change, and like we've said before, like those kind of times can either bring you closer to God, or you can kind of turn your back and go another route. And you see it with people, if they turn their back and go another route, it never ends good. And we didn't even, I mean, we don't drink anyway, but like a lot of people start drinking or doing this and that, and we've seen it doesn't work out too good. So that didn't even cross our mind, but naturally we dove into the Bible and started reading a lot more and learning, and you know, we grew up as Christians, you know, and we but we never really studied like we should have. So we have definitely gotten a lot closer in the last couple of years to God and our relationship with him, and not just I guess graduating from baby Christian to, you know, the next level.
Well, and unfortunately, it was just like one thing after another after another. I mean, like we just kept getting hit with loss after loss after loss. Almost a year to the date, like off by one day, my stepdad had a stroke from the time when my dad passed away. And then
He passed away.
Well, 2 weeks before that, your aunt passed away.
Yeah.
Fell down a flight of stairs and she passed away. And then
Last year, my sister,
6 months later,
Yeah.
his sister went missing in Belize, and
was never found. So
no,
on a time, so it was actually like a national news thing, but she was on a little island called Rendezvous Key in Belize, and she went missing overnight, and she was on the island with her boyfriend, and it was a tour, so there was like, I don't know, 12, maybe 20 other people on the island, and she went missing, and she hasn't been found. It's been a long time now, so
a year,
Yeah.
a little over.
little over a year, so you know, not looking good there. But the authorities there locally were looking into it, and eventually they turned it over to the FBI. The FBI didn't find any what do they call it,
Foul play.
foul play. So she hated swimming. She didn't want to go out. She was scared of the ocean. So the thought of her going out swimming in the middle of the night, you know, is very unlikely. And I had a lot of things run through my head of what could have happened. And the truth is, we'll never know unless somebody admits something or something. But so,
But experiencing all those
Yeah.
losses, you know, is detrimental to anybody. And just the fact that like we're still functioning, you know, speaks volumes, and just making sure that like we dig into the Bible. And
It's like, I just had a friend pass away that I was close to, that I do video work with, and my friend that was also close to him said like he was in shock because he's literally never had anybody close to him die, and he's 30 years old. So for us to go through all that loss on top of each other within that short amount of time is a lot to deal with. But having God in our life, it makes, you know, things a lot easier, and we just keep learning and diving into it. But that's what we've been through. And then obviously, I mean, we got 3 beautiful kids that help us through and bring a lot of joy to our life, and and each other. So it's been an experience, yeah. And we've gotten, you know, a lot closer with each other, and it made me, like I said before too, it made me a better person all around, I think. But
well, yeah, and I think like a better husband, and probably me a better wife, you know, going through these experiences together. It definitely makes you look at life a lot different, and your relationships a lot differently, and just your whole outlook, definitely.
Yeah, it's it sounds like, you know, it's crazy. Like when people, they say, so I heard this one time when I was in AA. So for all of you that don't know, I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober for 3 years now, but I quit cold turkey. But I was never court ordered, nothing. I just made the decision after making a fool of myself one day after about 12 years of just crazy drinking. And I was in AA one time, and there was this kid who was in there for like court ordered, you know, and it's such a crazy environment because all of these people are just having massive revelations. Like the people that really dive in and want to get help, they're like having just, their self-awareness is just leaps and bounds. Like they're hitting new self-awareness levels like all the time. And they're realizing it's almost like they are probably closer to, you know, for people who don't believe in faith or whatever, they're probably closer to, you know, this environmental oneness or the universe than most people. Like when you're going through massive change like that, your psyche is just like, everything is super sensitive, and you're like a sponge. And when your mind is warped and your reality is completely warped, and you're seeing things in a whole different light, you just have these crazy revelations. And this kid said he was in there for drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and he goes, his sponsor once told him, you know, he goes, my sponsor once told me that, and you could tell this kid was just crazy and deep thought, and this phrase just still blew his mind. He goes, he told me, God will wreck your plans if he knows your plans are going to wreck you. And that doesn't necessarily mean like your plans are being an addict, or they could be like you think you're on the right path of doing things, you know, you're giving to charity, you have a great business, you're a great employee, whatever, but the path you're going down is leading you further and further and further away from him. And who knows what's going to happen, but just the idea of like your plans getting wrecked and God doing that, because there were so many stop signs and slow down signs and speed bumps along the way that you just blew past, that finally he's like, I'm going to wreck your plans. I'm going to get your attention now. And it's like, it sounds like he almost brought both of you to your knees, because when you're in the thick of it, like when somebody, like when this is just easy for me to say because it's very relatable. People just understand it, like watching war movies and stuff like that. It is hard for people who have not been in combat to understand the stuff or the mindset or the anger issues or the PTSD that people who've been in combat go through. Like they're just like, get over it. You know, it's been like 7 years. It's been nine years, 10 years, 50 years. My great grandpa was having night terrors till the day he died when he was in World War II because of what happened to him. But when you're in the trenches and you are dodging bullet, you know, left and right, whether that bullet is, your finances are crumbling, you're an addict, your family's falling apart, people are passing away around you. When you are in there with other people, you don't just crumble to your knees, like, because you have support in the trenches with you. It's like, then you have a bond that nobody else will understand, and it brings you together.
Cling to that person.
What's that?
Cling to that person, because you're going through it together. So we just really bonded,
Yeah. And I mean, it's just tragedy and just loss and just crazy life events, whether it's friends, employees, employers, even amazing physical feats. When you do it with a team, you create a bond that nobody else can understand, and you are forever changed as a unit and brought together forever. You could go your separate ways, but for the rest of your life, you will always have that bond, and have that mutual respect, like, and a head nod, like, you don't have to say anything, like, I know what you're going through, like, because we did it together, And so it sounds like God kind of like brought you both kind of to your knees, but you didn't actually fully fall. He kind of like, all this stuff happened, and it brought you closer to him, made you better as individuals. It made you better as a unit. I mean, your business was booming. You have 3 kids. I mean, you're just killing it in life.
You came closer to God.
It's just, all this tragedy happened, but you continue to persevere. And it's crazy, like you said, like wrapping your mind around the idea of being thankful for that, because there's so much tragedy in it. But now, right now, you're getting to talk to hundreds of people and spread this message of suffering for him, and how to get through it, and your personal stories. And it's just, you're touching lives now because of what you've gone through, and because of how your heart and your mind and your spirit and even your like physical makeup has been altered by what has happened in your life. And it's just, it's changing other lives. You are now, not that you weren't before, but now the intention and the potency of your mission is a lot more clear and in focus, and it's going to help so many other people. And I think that's dope, And
a lot more people are going to be able to relate to you, because you have went through so much loss that God's going to be able to use you to like tell other people your story. Like, hey, I definitely know what you're going through. Don't shy away from God, because he's just using you to be able to like talk to others about that same type of loss. Like, you guys lost both of your dads. You lost your stepdad, your sister, your aunt. I mean, that's a lot of family members all within a 2-year span. So the fact that you'll be able to relate to not only this person that's lost a parent, but this person that's lost a best friend, this person that's lost a sibling, like more and more people will be able to come to you for like, how did you guys grow closer together? How did you not lose your minds? How did you grow closer to God through all of those tribulations, and really help them? So going through these tribulations, God is like, you're going to be able to help others because you went through it. You grew and you overcame. You didn't let it destroy you and your relationship with each other and myself.
Yeah. It's not even just the idea of loss, but it's the idea of the mental, like the psychological work that is done, because I mean, stress is stress, mental unrest. No matter what you're going through, it's still like, sometimes you get to a mental breaking point, but even steel has a breaking point, bones have a breaking point. But when it heals, it's much stronger, that the marrow and the cartilage or whatever inside of it, the bone is much stronger in that area after breaking when it heals together. It's just the idea of going through suffering, pushing through it, because in your mind you had no choice, but you did it in a way that brought you closer to God and each other. And no matter what anybody's going through, you're gonna be able to understand and walk people through insane amounts of just stress, and just be like, listen, you know, we haven't been through this specific situation, but you're not alone. Like, we've got your back. I know there's other people out there that's got your back. It doesn't have to be specific loss. That, you know, it's okay, you know, and it's,
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. With losing a parent, obviously, is extremely hard, but the plus is having the kids, and you know that brings a whole new joy to your life, and it's not just, I mean, you learn things on so many levels when you lose people, because the things they say, if you have time to talk to them before they pass away, and you know it's happening, the things that they say before they pass away, you realize that it's not really how long you're on this earth, it's what you do while you're on the earth.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other things too. Like I had this anxiety of death prior to all that happening, and what kind of triggered it was weird. It was I had these floaters come into my eyes, and like that was the first thing that ever happened to me.
Well, you got hit by a soccer ball,
No,
right? Isn't that what caused it?
No, it was long before then.
Oh.
I got hit in the face with a soccer ball too, though, and I had a giant floater in my eye.
It made it worse.
But yeah, so years before that, I had floaters just pop up out of nowhere. Like, and I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but most people get like one or two when they're older, like 60s plus.
It's like a black dot.
It's kind of like a see-through brown dot that you see in your vision, but you can still see past it, but it's pretty kind of annoying. But I have multiple. So like when I look out and I focus on it, I can see it floating around. Basically, it's weird. But it caused like a panic attack one day, because all of a sudden I saw them all. And like I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, but I started like getting hot and, you know, breathing different, you know, that whole deal. And so that kind of freaked me out. And like since then I had like this anxiety of health and like death, and it's almost like through all this, God was like, listen, just relax. And like I said, death's gonna happen, like to all of us one day. And it's what you do while you're here, and embrace every day, don't hold grudges, and just you know, be a good person on top of that. But you know, I don't know for sure if certain people that passed away were saved, so there's that fact too. Like, you don't know if your loved one's going to be there tomorrow, so you think you got all this time to do a lot of things and have these deep conversations with people, and you don't. So it's important to have those and to mend relationships and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, another part that I really like is when it says, when suffering strikes, remember that I am sovereign and that I can bring good out of everything. And thinking that like good can be brought out of all of this loss is just so great for us, you know. And we're really super excited that we can relate with people that are going through these kinds of things, to bring good out of this tragedy that we've gone through.
Yeah, I mean, if you are watching this and you always got somebody to talk to, but if you don't, you can always reach out to any of us to talk about anything, and we'd be happy to do it. Don't be shy, for sure. Do we want to read some verses?
Yeah, I was gonna, if you don't mind, can I read that, James?
Go ahead.
James. So it says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So I've got to tell you, I started doing some word studies, And I got a study Bible, and it kind of went through some stuff, but I started Googling some stuff on my own. And we did the intro, I was talking about like misconceptions. The word patience, perfect. We only know the word perfect and use it. Most society only uses it in a very, like, only part of what it's definite, like it can be used for, like its definition. Patience, like in my study Bible, or perfect, it means, so 4, it says, if a believer endures a trial, he or she will be perfect, meaning having reached the end, and complete, meaning whole. I didn't know this, but in the biblical sense of perfect, it means to just complete something. It doesn't necessarily mean without blemish or without error. It literally just means to complete, like you started it, and there's a lot of stuff that happened in the middle, whether you messed up or not, but you learned, you went on your way, and you completed it. Like the whole idea of that, and then the actual, like, I think it's Webster's dictionary says it can mean without blemish or error or fault, but it also means to complete. Like, it comes from the Latin word perference, F-E-R-E-N-C-E, perference. And those two words put together, per means complete, ference means done. It doesn't mean without error. And so when I read that, it like blew my mind, because I was like, we use the word perfect way wrong. Like, so when people say like, you are made perfect through Christ, that means we're all like, duh, like we're all sinners, like we're all full of fault, but it's about being sanctified. Like that whole idea of sanctification, which means, to become more and more and more like Jesus Christ, or more and more holy. But then at the end of it, we say, but not perfect, because nothing's perfect. Everything, as long as it's been completed, is perfect. Like at the end of our lives as Christians, doing this and continuing our mission, whether we mess up along the way, whether we goof up, the idea is that we will have lived perfect lives because we were advocates of Christ. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding me? Like, I don't like that. That is so much pressure off my back, because that word is used so, not that it's totally used wrong, but nobody ever talks about the side that you don't have to be right all the time. You just learn and you grow and you develop, and you're sanctified.
It's complete.
You are perfect. Your life is perfect by doing what it is that is right, and it doesn't mean without error. Yeah. I was like, holy cow. So when it says, but let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. It doesn't say, so lacking nothing, it means you have exactly what you need. Like all of us have exactly what we need, because we are made in the image of God. We know that we are sinners, but we've been forgiven for that. And we are doing God's work by spreading the word, sharing the gospel, and you are lacking nothing. We have everything we need, even though we're going to mess it up every now and again, but we will, as long as we endure and persevere, and are patient, knowing that testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work. Like, we're perfect. Like right now, this moment is perfect. Like, even though the video editing of this isn't going to be all flashy and stuff like that, it's going to be us just chatting. This is perfect. Yeah. It just blew my mind when I read that. I love it, and then, I don't know. And then the whole idea of like, I was just talking to her, like the idea of like the concept of going from coal to diamond. I looked up, like, to make a diamond, it takes 725,000 pounds of pressure per square inch to make a diamond. Like that's 750,000 pounds per square inch just to get a diamond, like tons and tons and tons and tons of pressure, or tons and tons and tons and tons of stress in your life. You're going to be made this beautiful thing, and it's going to be messy, it's going to be painful, it's not going to be right all the time, but eventually toward the end, once it's complete, aka perfect, it'll be beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Isn't that so cool? I like that reference too.
No, I like that that story with the perfect thing. I think, like you said, none of us are ever going to be perfect as far as what we use as perfect, like without sin, like Jesus, you know. But I think that as long as we're working towards being more like Jesus, that's what's important, and being saved, and you know,
Seeking him.
yeah, and just exactly, just keep seeking and keep working towards being more like Jesus, and that's what's important. I mean, everybody sins every day, but Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and as long as you're not repeating those same sins, and then just say, hey, he forgives me, I can do it, and then just ask for forgiveness. That's not how it works, but
No, repentance is a true change of heart.
yeah, exactly. No, I like that. And then there was a couple other ones that we were going to read here. Psalms 107, 21 through 22. Yeah, I'll read them. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his unfailing love and his wonderful deeds for mankind. Let them sacrifice thank offerings and tell of his works with songs of joy. And then what was the other one? Psalms 33:21. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. Before, when I would pray, it was like I was doing God a favor by praying to him. Like, here's all my prayers, you know. And but now, how everyone should be looking at it is, it's an honor that we're even able to communicate with God. Like, the fact that the person that created everything, the being that created everything, is listening to me right now, and my words. That's kind of how I look at it now, versus here's my list of things, and it was more now it's like a conversation.
All right, y'all. So that's it. Hopefully you got something out of that. I mean, if you enjoyed what we had to say, you know,
Join us next week.
yeah, join us next week, basically. If and like Ryan and Jordy were saying, if you identify with anything they said, or maybe their story, or just stressed out, or been pushed to your almost like your emotional, spiritual, physical breaking limits, and you just need a little bit of guidance, reach out, because I mean, those are the people right there that, I mean, they've dealt with it, you know, probably in many regards still are. So reach out, and I mean, there's so much. We just want to help. That's really it, you know, and let you know that you're not alone, you're loved, and that we care, and whatever you need.
Yep.
So
Don't let the tribulations of the world get to you and make you farther from God. That's kind of what the message was about today. So just try to grow closer to him, even though
it can be hard
crap
sometimes.
happens. Yeah.
So if you like this, please like, share, word of mouth, let your family, friends, everybody know. If you want to help us out in any way, shape, or form, any of those will help. Any and all the above. So
Yep.
Appreciate you. We love you. And
Bless you.
we will see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. Heck yeah, that was fun.